So Rocket Lab is up just under 14% today after some decent financial results and positive inflation data, which signals perhaps less aggressive monetary tightening and/or earlier loosening of monetary policy by the man himself, Mr. Powell, next year. Regardless, let's get straight into the investor update for quarter 3. Rocket Lab lists several key accomplishments. It launched 3 successful Electron missions. It's matched its launch record in quarter 3 and surpassed it in early quarter 4. It's produced some Neutron hardware, including full-scale Archimedes engine and Neutron tank section. It has selected the NASA Stennis Space Center as the site for Neutron engine testing and development. It's completed a high-volume manufacturing line for satellite reaction wheels, and also began prototype production for a mega constellation customer. It's signed its largest order of satellite separation systems in Rocket Lab's company history, totaling $14 million. It's been awarded a contract to supply solar power for 3 next-gen OPIR GEO NGG satellites for the US Space Force, and has successfully completed the translunar injection via Photon that sent NASA's Capstone to the moon. It's been awarded UStransCom contract to explore cargo transport use for Electron, Neutron and Photon, and progress has been made on Electron reusability with successful hot fire of a recovered Rutherford engine for the first time. This last point, to me, is very significant as it shows there's great potential for major components of the Electron, such as the engine, to be reused. It stated that the engine fired for 200 seconds with multiple restarts, so it's operating at the same standard as a brand new engine, so this is a major milestone. On the other hand, Rocket Lab's most recent launch attempted another helicopter catch, but this was aborted due to inopportune conditions. To me, this really demonstrates that the helicopter catch method is far from perfect, at least in my opinion. Now on to Neutron news. An engine test site has been selected, which is 1 million square feet, and boasts exclusive use of NASA infrastructure to test and develop the Archimedes engine. So yes, securing the Stennis Space Center reportedly eliminates long lead times for development as existing infrastructure can be used. And interestingly, components for this engine have already been 3D printed in quarter 3 of 2022, which is encouraging as first tests are scheduled in 2023. So moving on to another aspect of Neutron's development, molds have been completed with full-scale prototype hardware being developed, and sophisticated robotics are being used for the fiber placement on Neutron in terms of the advanced composite material. Now moving on to space systems, I feel it should be noted that this part of the company is very important for the more short-term aspects of stock performance. I appreciate that this part is perhaps a little less exciting for some, but it does make up a significant part of Rocket Lab's revenues at the moment. And it should be remembered, in my opinion, that Rocket Lab is not just a launch company, and it has ambitions in varying parts of the space economy. So now that I've stopped waffling, we can get into it. Rocket Lab has been awarded contracts to supply solar power to Lockheed Martin for 3 large missile warning satellites for the US Space Force. This continues long-standing support to the US Space Force for missile warning satellites. Rocket Lab is also to provide motorized light bands to Lockheed Martin and another undisclosed customer for the US Department of Defense Next-Gen Tranche 1 Tracking Layer constellation. This award represents 2/3 of separation systems required for T1TL and totals $14 million. Rocket Lab's motorized light bands are highly trusted with 100% mission success rate and highest technology readiness level by the US government. There have also been significant achievements in terms of Rocket Lab's space software. So a significant milestone was achieved in quarter 3 2022 for DARPA and Space Development Agency's Mandrake 2 mission supported by Rocket Lab's Max mission software. There was successful transfer of data between 2 satellites which were more than 110 kilometers apart as a part of DARPA and SDA's concept for future constellation that communicates at the speed of light. space software, mission operations, star trackers and reaction wheels, as well as separation systems, all provided by Rocket Lab for Mandrake's 2 mission. So before I go into financials, I want to mention that I've not gone over everything in the full quarterly presentation, and I definitely haven't gone over everything in the 10Q report. So please do click the link in the description if you want to get a full view for yourself of the presentation or of the 10Q. Now, in terms of revenue, it was expected to range from $60 to $63 million. Actual revenue for Q3 was $63.1 million. Gross margins also fell into the ranges expected, with a GAAP gross margin of 13% compared to expectations of between 12 and 15%. Non-GAAP gross margin was reported as 24% compared to expectations of between 22 and 25%. GAAP operating expenses were expected to be $41 to $43 million, and actual GAAP operating expenses were $40.5 million. Now, going on to cash flow, I'm actually quite interested, and this is something I've just picked out, that Rocket Lab has now actually invested $176 million into marketable securities to take advantage of a higher rate of return due to higher interest rates. Now, given the inflation rate being a bit lower than expected today, I'll be interested to see what they invested in. Anyway, finally, digging into the 10Q, Rocket Lab made a net loss of just under $35 million in Q3 2022. Of course, again, feel free, and you should, look at the full 10Q report as linked in the description. That's all for me for today. Make sure to subscribe for more on Rocket Lab. Most of you guys aren't subscribed. And also look out for any more investing content on the channel. Thanks for watching.